back. I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for episode 125 of the 815 Exchange. And of course, it is the day after Christmas, so Merry Christmas to all of you, and welcome back. Now, Jolly St. Nick drove by, and so did the NBA, so did the NFL, even though they pretty much took up all of Saturday while they gave us all of the washed quarterbacks of the league on Sunday. But we'll get to that, alright? We'll get to that. And as always, and as I always say, remember, everything you were looking for can be found in the description. So, whether that's timestamps to see me go talk about those washed quarterbacks, or you want to hear me talk about the NBA segment, or you want to hear me talk about National Signing Day or entertainment, whatever it is, feel free to use the timestamps in the description. It's long-form content, I know. Long video, skip ahead to what you want to see. Also, my social media links can be found in the description, so you can get my timestamp boomerangs in all of their glory. Also, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Of course, we are on the road to 900 subscribers. So, yeah, let's keep the momentum going. I appreciate all the love lately. And, yeah. Where shall we start, ladies and gentlemen? Where shall we start? We got options, alright? We got options. We got the NBA. We got college football, but you know what, we're going to start with the NBA. We're going to switch it up. I don't normally do college football, but you know what, there's no real games I'm covering, so we're going to kick it off with the NBA. Alright, it's Christmas time, it's their season, okay? It's their season, and we're going to start off with the Philadelphia 76ers taking on my father's beloved New York Knicks. The Knicks led for pretty much the majority of this game. Alright, for the majority of this game, all Knicks. They had it in control. They were up by, I think, 11 or 14 at one point. And then James Harden and Georges Niang went crazy. And then the Sixers just took off from there, and the Knicks just could not adapt. The Philadelphia 76ers get the win 119-112. Joel Embiid. Not much more we can say about him. The process ends up with 35 and 8. James Harden became unglued in that second half. He finishes with 29 and 13 after he just had a 20-20 game with assists the game before. Harden back in full effect. Speaking of Mr. Niang, they called him, what was it? The minivan or something like that in the thing, which is crazy to me. Alright, but he finished with 16. He hit 4 threes. I think 2 of them or 3 of them in a row, just kind of to break the back of the Knicks pause in that second half. Julius Randle finishes with 35. Jalen Brunson had 23 and 11. RJ Barrett went 6 for 21. And as much as I love RJ, he's a Duke guy. Love him to death. Wish the best for him. This has been the reoccurring theme. If you just look at his points, you're like, okay, this is one of the best young stars in the league. But he just has not had that efficiency. He just has not been able to be an efficient scorer in the league, and that's limiting and putting a cap on what his upside is. He has the physical tools. He's good in the areas you would want a star two-way wing to be good in. But he just has not been able to put it together on an efficient level yet. Not to say that he won't, but to this point so far in his career, it's been a recurring theme. And once again, it was the theme in this game. Just too inefficient, and the Knicks just could not get it back together in that second half. Sixers win. Dallas takes out LA. Now, LeBron has now scored 7 straight games with 30-plus points. The man had 38 in this game. Alright? He was great in this game. However, it was a lot like the Lakers last year, in the sense that if LeBron was not on the floor, they were done. Finished. Finito. It was over. And that was the case in this game. As soon as he left the floor, whether it was when they started off the game on that 23-9 run, or whether it was the second half when Dallas scored 50+, the most points scored in a quarter this year in the NBA, to take the lead and take a 20-point lead when LeBron was off the court. If LeBron's not on the court, this Lakers team seems to be doomed, especially with AD out, and it got ugly. Alright, Dallas, Luka does Luka things, 32-9-9. Seawood even had 38-7. Tim Hardaway for a period of time looked like he could not miss, just like the rest of that Dallas team in that third quarter. He finished with 26. Russ had 17. Austin Reeves had 16. Shout out to Austin Reeves because he has been a solid role player. He is sorely filled in that LeBron white boy role of just all of a sudden he's just a great role player. That is what Austin Reeves has slowly developed into. But Dallas just could not miss in that third quarter. Could not miss, and LA just ran out of time. Why Braun took that extension, I do not know. And maybe we will never know. But in terms of winning, this Lakers team just looks doomed. I really don't need to say it. I've said it a million times. But I'll say it one more time. You should have never blown up the team. Should have never blown up the team after the loss to the Suns. Because it doesn't look like you're going to get it back. Dallas gets the win on Christmas. By the way, 17th Christmas game. 17th straight Christmas game for Braun. So, yeah, fun fact there. Boston takes out Milwaukee 139-118 to definitively take over supremacy in that Eastern Conference. Jason Tatum. What do we all pull up? Shoot. Jason Tatum. JT was on and popping. 41-7-5 for a big man who might possibly be leading the MVP candidacy at the moment. JT finishes with 41. He was that guy. He was simply put that guy in this game. Whether it was dunking on Giannis, which Giannis then, followed up with an air ball from the three. It was just not a pretty game for Giannis. It wasn't. He still finished with 27. But he went 9 for 12. 9 for 22, excuse me. It just was not the most efficient, wasn't the best. It wasn't the Greek Freak. It wasn't the Greek Freak-esque game that we've become accustomed to when Boston showed why they're the top team in the conference. Drew finished with 23 as well. JB had 29 for the Celtics. But once again, Tatum shows why he's one of the leading MVP candidates and why we need to start to consider JT as one of the best players on the planet. He scores 40. Boston wins. Warriors and the Grizzlies. Now this game had plenty of hype, plenty of discussion. After Ja and the Grizzlies we're talking pretty reckless about the Warriors. If we're being honest, they have been talking very reckless about the Warriors up to this point. Whether it was Dylan, whoever, they were very confident, talking a whole lot, heading into this game. They will not be talking anymore. Alright, the Warriors get the win 123-109. Jordan Poole had 32 before he got ejected. Clay had 24 and got almost teed up for taunting Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, alongside Ja, was one of the biggest, co-conspirators in the trash talk amongst the two teams. Well, Brooks gets taunted on. Clay drops 24. Draymond Green dropped 13 and 13, and I'm not talking about points. But still, a 13-13 double-double with assists and rebounds. Very impressive. A very Draymond thing as to do. Ja finished with 36, but the thing that became unglued, 36 and 8 as well, 8 assists. But the thing that did the Grizzlies in is when you shoot 23% from the three, you are just not going to win in modern basketball. You just can't. You cannot shoot that bad from three, as my beloved Duke Blue Devils found out against Wake Forest. We won't talk about that, but I did go see that game. You can't shoot that bad from three and expect to win. Not in modern basketball. It just cannot happen, and that's what happened to the Grizzlies, especially a team that shoots as many threes as the Memphis Grizzlies. Can't happen, and against the Splash Bros, definitely can't happen. Even without Curry, didn't matter. Poole dropped 30 bomb, got ejected, didn't matter. Warriors win. Denver and Phoenix, however, we saved the best for last. The NBA somehow saved the best for last because the best game of the day happened to be the Nuggets and the Suns in the main event at 10:30. So many of you were probably slumped because of the food coma you had from your Christmas dinner. I know I certainly was. Anyways, we went to overtime here, but listen, I said it last week. I don't know if it was the awakening or what happened, but as soon as people started talking about, man, Nikola Jokic just isn't the same player, I saw people on ESPN talking about, hey, Jokic, he's not that same guy. He got his 2 MVPs. He's definitely not getting a third. A lot of disrespect being thrown towards the Joker's way. So what has he responded by? Well, we had 47 and dang near 30 last week. How about 41, 15, and 15 in the overtime win against the Suns on Christmas this week? The Joker is unleashed. Alright, he is unleashed. Pay the man his respects. One of the best basketball players on planet Earth. And then at the least you can give him is the absolute best big man in the game today. And that is not up for debate. I don't care about AD, even when he's not hurt. I don't care about the process that we talked about earlier. This is the best big man, not just center, the best big man in basketball. Period. In the words of a city girl. It's done. The Joker, he's him. 41, 15, and 15. Aaron Gordon baptized. I mean, he had his own personal dunk contest. Reminded everybody what he's one of the best dunkers on planet Earth. 7 dunks in this game in an absolute dunk of the year contender against Landry Shamet. Who, by the way, Shamet had 31, by the way. Book had to leave this game early, like 4 minutes into the game. Shamet came in, filled in perfectly. He had 31 points. But the only thing he's going to be remembered for in this game is that dunk Aaron Gordon had. Because my goodness, what a dunk it was. They even reversed the call from a charge. That's how good the dunk was. I'm pretty sure they just replayed it just so they could get the call right and watch it a couple more times. That's how good of a dunk was. Go look it up if for some reason you haven't seen it, if it's not the picture that I chose for, like, you know, the photo for them right here. Jamal Murray. Solid game for Jamal, 26, 5, and 5. Probably should have taken that last shot at regulation. Probably just give that to Joker, get out the way. But I digress. Murray took it anyway. Solid game for him. CP3 had 17 and 16, but missed way too many free throws. A very uncharacteristic free throw shooting night for CP3. And yeah, again, you only lost by 3, so some of those made. Could have been a different game. Iden finishes with 22 and 16, so a solid game for him. But again, the Joker was just unstoppable. Made a statement. That Denver Nuggets team made a statement. Even with MPJ shooting like 3 for 11 or whatever it was, a statement was made by this team. And yeah, put the rest of the league on notice, in my opinion. So pay the Nuggets the respect. Pay Nikola Jokic's respect. Best big man in the game. Now, instead of entertainment, we're gonna head over to college football because it's very brief. All right. Of course, next weekend, you know what next weekend is. Not just as at the beginning of a new year. That means we have finally the college football playoff returns. It's been a long time. All right. I've missed college football, so I'm very happy to have it back. Now we're gonna do a little preview, shall we? Of course, we got in the first one the number 1 ranked team in the country, that being the Georgia Bulldogs, taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, Georgia, we know the story. It's pretty similar to last year. Dominant defense. Stetson Bennett, who somehow, someway was a Heisman contender. Still haven't wrapped my head around that one, but you know, Stetson, Heisman contender. Even though he wasn't first team nor second team All ASCC, I don't believe. But anyway, Stetson's still a very good quarterback. We don't doubt him anymore. We stopped doing that, even though I just slandered his name a little bit. Really just a passable offense. All right, they got the tight ends of Doom, Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington that kind of spearhead that offense. But that defense led by Jalen Carter, who might be the best player in the country, have been dominant this year as always. Keely Ringo, even though he's not the cornerback one in my opinion, always shows up for these big games. And of course, he's going to have the assignment of a lifetime, even though it's not JSN. It's the other best receiver in America, Marvin Harrison Jr., who's another year wiser and another year more dangerous. We'll see what he can do. Of course, they got Emeka Bunka, and of course, that man at quarterback, CJ Stroud. Even though I've said he's not that guy, he is still CJ Stroud and a very good quarterback. Don't get it messed up. I think the real test is going to be, of course, the big matchup will be that Georgia defense versus that Ohio State offense. And that's going to be a big deal. That's what everybody's going to talk about. But honestly, I think the way that Georgia offense operates against the Ohio State defense is going to determine how this game goes. Not so much where the stars are defensively and offensively, right, for those two teams, but on the flip side, can Ohio State's defense step up and stop this Georgia offense? If they can do that, that's going to open up a lot more opportunities for Stroud and Harrison and co. to do what they do and hopefully get on the board. However, if Georgia's offense gets going and this Ohio State's defense plays the way it's played pretty much under Ryan Day the entire time, boy oh boy are the Buckeyes in trouble. If they make Stetson Bennett look like he deserved to be a Heisman candidate, they will lose this game. However, if they want a chance to win, you got to shut down that Georgia offense. You have to. You absolutely have to give as many chances as you can from Marvin Harrison Jr. and C.J. Stroud and Henderson and Williams and Agbanka and so on and so forth, Fleming, Stover, whoever, that loaded offense, give them chances. Alright, defense has to show up. I think it's going to be an interesting one. If I was a betting man, I'd pick Georgia, but we will see. Should be a good game. Alongside this one, Michigan and TCU. Now, TCU, of course, are still, even though they've had some time off, reeling a little bit, I would imagine, from that Kansas State loss in the Big 12 championship, but they still made it to the show. They get Michigan. I think Michigan's probably going to be the heavy favorite, well-deservedly so. They've looked like the better team. However, they do not have Blake Corum. On the flip side of that, Donovan Edwards has not missed a beat. And some people would say Donovan Edwards is a better running back in terms of what he can do in the passing game, whatever, than Blake Corum. So you could really argue how much of a drop-off is it really. I think in this game, once again, TCU's defense is going to need to play the way they played against, Texas, alright? They got to show up that pass rush, even though they're facing, quite possibly, the best offensive line in America. That pass rush has to figure out something. They got to figure out something. They got to figure out some way to cause havoc and get J.J. McCarthy uncomfortable. Because if McCarthy gets comfortable, they will get picked apart. As good as that defense has been, as many players that they've had that have stepped up, they will get picked apart. Cannot let McCarthy get comfortable. I think that's the key to the game for them. For Michigan, that defense has to show up, and of course we know Max Duggan has that dog in him, but you got to make it tough. Just the same way Kansas State made it tough for the first 3.5 quarters of that game, you got to make it that tough for TCU. They got Keandre Miller. They can run the ball. Quentin Johnston is a problem, even though Michigan has a good secondary. They got stars on that offense. You absolutely have to make both quarterbacks. Simply put, pass rush has to get there. You got to make them uncomfortable. You got to make them work for it. Because if you get comfortable, you let them get in rhythm, it's going to be a very, very long day for you. Michigan just been a better team. They've been tested. They've beaten one of the playoff teams. I take them. I think they go to the championship versus Georgia, and that's going to be a very interesting matchup. But I think they get ahead of TCU and get the win. But TCU, I think they're a little bit better than I think bettors are going to give them credit for, and could make this game a little bit more interesting. Like I said, Max got that dog in him. We're going to see how much of a dog he does this weekend. Now, last Wednesday was National Signing Day. Some things stayed the same, like Nico going to Tennessee, Arch going to Texas, Malachi going to USC, Zach going to USC, so on and so forth. But we still had some controversy, of course, mainly because of Coach Prime going to Colorado and the issues caused there, especially to the U. Cormani McClain, the gem of their class, the number 3 player in the country, I believe, possibly the number 2 player in the country. He didn't sign. Which means he might be going to join dear old Travis Hunter, forming probably one of the best cornerback pairings in college football, day one for Coach Prime at Colorado. So we'll see. That's going to be something interesting to track. But Cormani did not sign. Very interesting. Hakeem Williams also got contacted by Colorado, and then him and Travis Hunter had a little spat because Hakeem took a shot at Travis saying, "I'm solid. I am not Travis Hunter." Travis said, "You could never beat me." Some Florida State fan, responded back. So Travis was like, "Yeah, they take me over you any day of the week. They take me over you right now." Hakeem was like, "Okay, you're, older than me, blah, 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 blah." They're going back and forth. I would love for Florida State and Colorado to play each other. I don't think Travis was wrong, to be honest. He also said Norville hit him up before he even hit the portal. But, of course, if you're not playing each other, how much is it really? How much is it really? But Trav going to Colorado. Hakeem stays solid. Caden Proctor going to Alabama. I hate that flip. Alabama might break Texas A&M's record, by the way, for best recruiting class of all time. Somehow Saban in a down year got better. Don't know how. But Proctor flips from Iowa. I hate that for Iowa, but Bama gets richer. Peyton Bowen had one of the most interesting stories, of course. He was committed to, I've lost track, Notre Dame? then he flipped to Oregon. Phil Knight sent the bag. Flips to Oregon on signing day. Doesn't send his letter of intent. Ends up flipping to Oklahoma to join his girlfriend and his quarterback. It was just chaos. I think he signed with Oklahoma, so hopefully that's over. But, you know, Brew McCoy, we'll see. Lord knows. But, just an incredible flipping and story between Peyton Bowman. One of the best safeties in the country. But, yeah, crazy signing day. Should be a good week in college football. Alright, now that brings us, of course, to the halfway point. You know, it's entertainment, okay? Entertainment. Knives Out Glass Onion, alright? I watched it on Netflix. Of course, I had to get to it. Babylon also came out. We'll get to that probably with me next week if I can get to it some point this week. Hopefully, God willing. But Knives Out, Glass Onion, our dear old Benoit Blanc, played of course by the great Daniel Craig, has returned. Alright, he has returned alongside his boyfriend, Hugh Grant. By the way, just making a smooth cameo alongside, you know, also Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just showing up alongside a bunch of other famous people. We found out Benoit Blanc is garbage at Clue and at Among Us. Ryan Johnson definitely nailed it with the humor, by the way, in this. So shout out to Ryan. This was a good movie. Alright, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it pretty much the same as the last one. My goodness, Madeline Klein. Respectfully. I liked her role, by the way, in this. I was very interested to see what she played in this and how much of a role she had, but I enjoyed Whiskey. Alright, I enjoyed Whiskey, just like I do remember. I enjoyed her in the movie. Madeline Klein, respectfully, is one of the most beautiful women in this world. Chase Stokes. Chase, you're my boy. That is a bad fumble. That is a bad fumble. That is a really bad fumble. But Madeline Klein, shout to her, one of the most beautiful women on earth. You know who else is one of the most beautiful women on earth? Janelle Monáe, and she bodied this. Alright, she absolutely bodied, whether it was as Addie or as her sister. Playing two characters that well and showing the personality changes was splendid. Ryan, by the way, loved getting those close-up shots of her face and her skin looking flawless, but she bodied it. Alright, she was great in her role, playing both sides. It made me wonder, I was like, what's the twist, right? I was trying to figure that out throughout the first part, because I was like, when she got shot, spoiler alert, on all this, obviously, I was like, how? I was like, what? I was like, there's no way she just died. So seeing that twist was cool, and seeing how Benoit had it plotted out, I was like, there's no way Benoit, has he been nerfed or something? But anyways, worked out. She was great in this movie. Batista was great as Duke. Everybody was great in pretty much all of theirs. Claire, Ed Norton, just everybody did a great job. Total great story, great parodies of like Elon and all that stuff. But Lionel as well, great. It was another good movie. They can do a million of these in different scenarios with different ensembles cast. You know, we can just keep going. And I'll be definitely on the lookout for the next one. But yeah, Knives Out, Glass Onion, highly recommend it. Definitely gets the cosign for me. Chainsaw Man. This may have been the season finale. Don't quote me. I do not know. But Aki. Of course, we left off with him going to see the Future Devil, and the Future Devil was not what I expected. I was kind of rocking with Future Devil. I love the personality, the individual personalities they give each of like the devils as we go to see them, and how they act differently and they have their own like autonomy. It's not just like generic scary evil monster. I love that. You know, it's one of the perks of Chainsaw Man and one of the things I love. So it's cool seeing his personality. He took one. It wasn't that bad. He took one of his eyes, right? Take it. I'll take it. Apparently, Aki also goes out in a blaze of glory, even though he said do not elaborate. Now, time for war. Time to go up and, you know, get revenge against the Blades and the Snake. But, had to deal with the zombies. We got to see the Angel Devil and the humanoids and the rest of some of the other fiends and meet them for the first time. I felt a little bit between the Angel and Aki. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, setting up as we kind of get to it. Aki fighting for his life, about to possibly die. Of course, he's probably not going to die. At least not yet. I would be very, very shocked if we don't get another Kong. Now, Makima is still terrifying. She's still best girl, don't get it wrong. Don't get me messed up. She's still best girl, but she's absolutely, positively terrifying. I mean terrifying. That woman is terrifying. She just looked at him and he almost, like, how many different, like, what is this? What is she? Alright? What is she? She has like a billion contracts, surely. And we've seen her use her power in so many different ways. She's terrifying. Alright? Terrifying. But, yeah, she bodied again. Another good episode. Starting to build back some momentum and we can get back to those highs. Should be an interesting, episode next week. I finished The Rookie, Noah Centineo. Great. It was #1 on Netflix for a reason. Highly recommend it. It was gas. What else? No Last Chance U came out. Trying to get around to that. One of these days, if Wednesday is really that gas, somebody let me know. If Wednesday is really that gas, I will watch Wednesday. I know Jenna Ortega is wifey. Alright, I know all that stuff, but I haven't watched it yet. I know I'm probably the only person on the planet who hasn't, but y'all let me know. Alright, if it's really that gas, I'll add it to the list and we might get around to it. But for now, that's entertainment. Which of course brings us to our beloved National Football League. And it's only beloved this week for only a couple teams here in week 16. Only a couple teams. Because for a couple of y'all, oh boy, it's rough. And one of those is the New York Jets. They took on the Jaguars. Of course, this is a matchup between the two top picks in last year's NFL draft. Of course, number 1 being Trevor Lawrence and number 2 being Zach Wilson. And boy, oh boy, their careers going in two separate different ways. Trevor Lawrence looks every bit the franchise quarterback that we expected him to be. I mean, the man has been one of the best quarterbacks on God's green earth the past, 5-6 weeks. Alright, he's been amazing. Amazing. He was very good in this game. Even amongst the horrific weather that we had pretty much for every single NFL game this week. And probably where you were watching this live from, you probably were darn near well below freezing. Once again, we had that in this game. Didn't matter. Trevor was still great. Jaguars defense also was great. And they get the win 19-3. Zach Wilson will not be on the national football team. He just won't. He will not. He ain't built for the league. He's going to be an XFL All-Star, though. But yeah, Zach, 9 for 18, under 100 yards, 1 pick. He was garbage in this game. Simply put, stats don't say it enough. I'm going to say it now. He was garbage. Simply, he was garbage. Garbage. Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, went 20 for 31, 229. Evan Ingram has been a career renaissance this year for Evan Ingram, especially since Lawrence got going. When they figured it out, he figured it out. 7 receptions, 113 for Ingram in this game. Riley Patterson, field goals of death. Once again, Jets defense did not play bad by any means in this game. Even if it wasn't the greatest Sauce Gardner game in particular, they still played a solid game. Offense just let them down. Like I said, Zach Wilson is just not that guy. Literally, Stravler came in, played better than him, and somehow led the Jets in rushing. That's how bad of a game it was. Horrific game for the Jets that they probably want to erase from their memory sometime soon. The Buffalo Bills getting much needed win. Not that it was ever in doubt against the Chicago Bears, 35-13. This was not close. Alright, this wasn't close. Not that Fields was bad, but the rest of the team failed. It's a reoccurring theme. It's a reoccurring theme. Fields plays good, shows optimism, shows promise. The Chicago Bears, however, suck and will be picking probably in the top 5 in next year's draft. They're just bad. And the Bills are very good, so you know how that goes. Even though Josh Allen threw 2 picks, didn't matter. He still had 172 and 2 touchdowns. Devin Singletary, though, was the star of this game. 106 yards and a touchdown. They had 254 yards rushing as a team. Josh Allen also got in the box to move his touchdown total to 3 for the game. James Cook, by the way, looking like his brother. 11 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown for James. And yeah, just a dominant game for the Bills. Wasn't really close. Bears struggled, as they have all year, but Buffalo gets it done. The Saints and the Browns. Yeah, it was cold, but Deshaun Watson has looked very, very mid. He has looked very, very mid since coming back. He has looked like a bang average quarterback. Some would even say a below average quarterback. He just, it's going to take some time. It's very clear. It's very apparent. And you know what? That's what 2 years out of football does to you. It's going to take some time for him to become the Deshaun Watson that he was before the incident to what he is now. It's going to take some time, clearly. Not that the Browns have, by the way, Not that they're loaded with talent anyway, but it's going to take some time. Even with having Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in America, it did not matter. And by the way, they were up 10-3 going into the fourth quarter, but just could not score. Couldn't get any type of offensive rhythm. The Saints just ran the ball to death. Taysom Hill got an 8-yarder to tie the game, and then with 55 seconds left, Kamara punches it in from 4 yards. Saints get the win. They go to 6-9. Somehow they are still in candidacy to win the god-awful NFC South at 6-9. But you know what? It is what it is. Saints needed it. Browns probably needed it too, but they don't get it. The Chiefs take out the Seahawks 24-10. Geno Smith hype, the Geno stocks, they've been on a steady decline. It didn't change this week, even though he wasn't awful. It seems like he's regressed back to the meme. On the other hand, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't matter if it's 90 degrees, it doesn't matter if it's 5. Apparently, Patrick Mahomes is going to be Patrick Mahomes. 224 yards and 2 touchdowns for Mahomes in this game. Travis Kelce does Travis Kelce things. 6 receptions, 113. You know the drill. Alright, you know the drill. It's the Chiefs. They do what they do. Top seed, I think, in the AFC currently right now. Looking like Super Bowl. I'm not going to say favorites, but they look like they could be going to the ship once again. And I would not be surprised. They're playing very, very well. Pacheco was okay in this game. Nothing too crazy. Defense showed up big time. Got a pick off of Geno. Let me see if they got any other turnovers in this game. None other. But Nick Bolton had 17 tackles. That's what I was looking for. Bolton, 17 tackles. Solid game. Chiefs get it done at home. Vikings and the Giants. What a game. What a game. Vikings get the win 27-24. Because Greg Joseph happened. How many times, by the way, has this happened? Credit to Greg Joseph. He has to be, in my opinion, can somebody give me a counter of how many game-winning kicks he's had in his career? Especially over the past, 3 seasons. Which might be his entire career, because I don't remember hearing about Greg before that. But anyways, he has to be the clutchest kicker in the game. I'm not saying he's the best, but he has to be the clutchest, because I can't tell you how many game-winning field goals this man has had in the past 3 years. It's insane. 61 yards for the franchise record and to win the game. Greg Joseph nailed it. No doubt in your mind. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It'll make a grown man. It probably made some grown men who weren't just freezing and had freezing tears. Just made a grown man cry in Minnesota. It was a beautiful, beautiful kick, and it won the game and capped off an incredible game. One of the best games of the week. We went back and forth those last 3 minutes. Jettas would get the touchdown. They went up 24-16. Then Saquon from 27 yards out took it to the crib. They got the 2-point conversion to tie the game, but then that gave Kirk Cousins too much time. He gets down the field. Giants still have some hope because, again, a 61-yarder, that is not normal. However, this is Greg Joseph. He is not normal. They get it. They win the game. Cousins finishes with 299 and 3 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson. 3 now. It's just him and Randy Moss at all the receiving records for the Minnesota Vikings. He also broke, I believe, the receptions record in this game. 12 receptions, 133, and a touchdown for Jettas. TJ Hawkinson saved me in the fantasy championship. 13 receptions, including an insane catch over 2 Giants defenders. 109, 2 touchdowns for Hawk. He was amazing. Danielle Hunter had 2 sacks. DJ was played a good game, by the way. 334, a touchdown, did have a pick, but I won't put the blame on him. Barkley was held in check besides that 27-yarder, but of course showed up when it mattered, but ultimately it wasn't enough because Greg Joseph happened and he did Greg Joseph things. The King of the North is still back. The King of the North is still back. Alright, the Bengals win 22-18 over the Patriots. The score is made this look much closer than it was because it kind of felt like the Bengals took their foot off the gas a little bit towards the end here, and the Patriots scored 18 unanswered. Made it look a little bit interesting, but I don't think it was really that close. It was a dominant first half for the Bengals, but Patriots closed well. Wasn't enough. Burrow had 3 touchdowns, 375, 40 for 52. 2 picks. Not great, but again, he won the game. He showed out in that first half anyway. Mac Jones played probably his best game of the year. 240, 2 touchdowns. Kendrick Bourne had 6 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. That insane tipped catch, by the way. Jacoby Myers getting a little bit of redemption for that dumb play against the Raiders last week with that heads-up play in this game to score that touchdown. T. Higgins, 8 receptions, 128, and a touchdown. But the Bengals able to get it done. They get the 4-point win. Jamar Chase, by the way, held in check. Probably one of the best performances we've seen against Chase so far. He still had 8 receptions, but didn't cross that century mark. Had a fumble. So, yeah, solid game for the Patriots. But that first half undid them. The Carolina Panthers won a game, which is foreign news for me. And I was surprised to hear they're 6-9. They can still win the division. Again, the NFC South is undoubtedly, undisputably, the absolute worst division in football. The worst division in football. But you know what? The Panthers made it just a little bit better in Charlotte on Saturday. They got the win over the Lions, 37-23. Sam Darnold had 250 and a touchdown, but this game was won on the ground. Because they had a game plan. They had a clear-cut game plan, and the Lions could do absolutely nothing about it. I mean, nothing about it. They ran for 320 yards on the Detroit Lions. I believe they had well over 150 in the first half. They had like 100 within like the first 2 possessions they had in the game or something ridiculous. Deontay Foreman looked like he was back at Texas, had 165 and a touchdown. Chuba Hubbard looked like he was back at Oklahoma State. The man had 125 himself. Blackshear had a touchdown, Darnold had a touchdown, and Foreman had a touchdown. It was just a dominant game on the ground for the Panthers. They said, cold weather, we're going to play tough, we're going to play physical, and you know what? Against one of the more physical teams that's the Lions' identity. For a lot of it, they want to be that physical team. That's what Campbell said he wanted, and they got out physical by the Carolina Panthers in this game, straight up. Panthers said, we're going to smash you in the mouth. They did exactly that, and they won the game in pretty dominant fashion. Jared Goff had 355 and 3 touchdowns, no picks. You would think that's a perfect game. Lions got the win. They only ran for 45 yards. It was a tale of 2 stories. Lions were getting it down through the air, but the run game won in this, they won in this example. Chark had a 51-yarder, and that's why he had 108 yards. If you just looked at the stat line, he didn't really have that good of a game. But I will say Goff spread it around good. He played a good game. But like I said, that defense could not stop the run to save their life. And in the NFL, you better stop the run. If you don't stop the run in the games like this, you see what happens. Panthers get a definitive win. They stay alive in that NFC South. The Falcons, on the other hand, did not do that. The Ravens get the win 17-9. Was not the prettiest game. Was not one of the games of the week. Ritter threw for over 200 yards. I guess that's notable. Congrats to him. Drake London had some good parts, had some bad parts. Huntley didn't turn over the ball. Ravens will take it. They get the win. Defensive battle. Texans take out the Titans 19-14, and one of the bigger upsets, of course, because going into this game, the Houston Texans had exactly 1 win on the season. However, Tannehill knocked out. Was he knocked out of this game again as well? Because I know he was out before. I'm trying to check that actually, and make sure my information is not wrong. Maybe that was the week before. Alright, I digress. But anyways, Malik Willis started this game. I really hate to be, I told you so. No, I don't. I told you so. I said Malik Willis was not that guy. Y'all tried to say he was QB1. Is this your QB1? Is this your QB1? Now, I know the weather wasn't great. I know the game got delayed. All that stuff. Is this your QB1? Is this your QB1? He's not my QB1. 2 picks, under 100 yards. Pitiful game for Malik Willis. Derrick Henry had 126 yards and a touchdown. Wasted, because they couldn't pass the ball to save their life. Hell, Willis had 43 yards and a touchdown. He did his best work on the ground, and it wasn't too great then. Just a disaster class from him. The Texans grind out a very, very ugly win, but congratulations to them. They only ran for 70 yards and won this game. Davis Mills turned the ball over 3 times, and they won this game. This was a nightmare game for the Titans. It was embarrassing, and Tennessee fans probably want me to go to the next game, so you know what, I am going to do exactly that. The best defense in football murks the Commanders 37-20. Of course, I'm talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Who else would I be talking about? 49ers and Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant is looking very, very, very relevant. I think I used that last week, but I'm going to use it again because it still applies. Alright, Purdy, not Joe Montana. Okay? Just calm down. He looks good, but let's calm down. Okay? Relax. Over 200 yards, he had 234 passing, 2 touchdowns, still the 1 pick, but still another good game for Brock Purdy. Maybe he's the answer at quarterback for the 49ers. Maybe not. They're 11-4. They need to be taken very seriously, by the way. They need to be taken seriously. If Purdy keeps this up, they could be a championship contender, especially with the way this defense is playing right now. Alright, Nick Bosa was a terror. Alright, he was a terror. He was a nightmare. He is going to haunt Tyler Heineke and whoever the Washington Redskins offensive line is for the rest of the season, for the rest of the year, even into next year, because we're almost at the end of this year. So he's going to haunt them for a very, very long time. They're going to break out in a cold sweat in the middle of the night besides their wife, girlfriend, side chick, whoever, because Nick Bosa is going to be in their nightmares. He was a terror. 7 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 TFLs or something crazy like that. The man was in their backfield the entire night, and it probably could have been more, because once again, the refs low-key hold him a little bit sometimes, which is a recurring theme. He got to be in candidacy, if not Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, there's a certain guy from the Cowboys that could also be in that. But, let's just appreciate them. Let's appreciate them both. Both great defensive players, both great pass rushers. But Bosa's a beast. Alright, he was a beast in this game. He could not be stopped. Fred Warner, by the way, 13 tackles. Classic Fred Warner game. One of the best linebackers in the league. George Kittle looked like George Kittle for... It's been a minute. It's been a minute. But he reminded us why he is considered one of the best tight ends in the world. 6 receptions, 120, and 2 touchdowns. Heineke got knocked out of this game at a certain point. Wentz had to come back in. They actually played solid, 12 for 16, 123, and a touchdown. But like I said, defense wins championships, as they say. And if that's the case, this 49ers team is looking real good because they put on a clinic versus the Commanders. And rough game for them. McCaffrey puts it away. 49ers get a win. Cowboys take out the Eagles. This was a massive, massive matchup. And once again, one week I'm going to hate this team. The next week I'm going to love them. Alright? It looked like I was going to hate them for 2 consecutive weeks until something happened and we just decided to win this game. Alright? I think it's because I started watching again, because when I stopped watching, we started losing. But every time I was watching, they were just making sure I was watching. They wanted to make sure I was watching so I could talk positively about them this week. So here you go, Cowboys. I'm going to talk positively. Alright, we rallied. We rallied in this game. We were down 34-7, 27. In the fourth quarter, I was like, here we go again. We are really about to lose to Gardner Minshew. Luckily, CeeDee Lamb and Brett Maher had other things in mind for us, okay? CeeDee gets it 70 from 7, which was great, because I was facing CeeDee Lamb in fantasy championship this week, it was great. That 34 points to negate my hawk was just great. It was just great. But you know what? Winning this game was more important, so I allowed it. Mayer then scored to make it 37-34. Then Miles Sanders fumbles when the Eagles get the ball back. They could have drove down, could have got the touchdown, just needed a field goal at that point. Miles Sanders, second fumble of the season, back-to-back weeks, very uncharacteristic for him. He fumbles, we get it back. Mayer buries another field goal, so he could have 18 points on my bench in the fantasy championship. Don't worry, guys, I'm only down by 2 and I still have Austin Eckler, so we're alright, even though, I've been very down about it in this episode. But it doesn't matter, alright? We then survived defensively, got it done. We survived Gardner Minshew, because he threw 2 picks, alright, and one was the game-sealing pick, but he threw 2 picks. He had his bright moments, he had his down moments, which is pretty much the Gardner Minshew experience. Probably going to throw for 300 on you, going to have 2 touchdowns, but guess what? He's going to have some turnovers, and as long as you capitalize on them and at the right times, you can survive that, and we survived the Minshew experience. Dak Prescott played his best game, potentially, I dare say, since he came back. Alright, 347, 3 touchdowns. Dak looked like Dak. He finally looked like Dak in this game, and we need more of this Dak. If we want to be taken seriously, because I'm still not taking us serious. I don't care that we're 11-4. I don't care if we just beat the best team in the NFC and possibly the league. I do not trust us yet. We need Dak to play like this if we want any type of trust and want to be taken seriously. Gotta play like this. He was great in this game, especially since we didn't have a great running game in this game in particular. CeeDee Lamb, once again, is the 88 has absorbed him, and he is now taking over the powers. He is a number 1 receiver. 10 receptions, 120, and 2 touchdowns for CD. He was that guy. All right, he was that guy. Micah, even though he didn't have a sack in this game, was causing plenty of havoc. And causing, which is a pretty good offensive line for the Eagles, if I dare say so myself, causing them some issues. The pass rush overall was causing them some issues. Even if we didn't complete sacks, we were making Minshew a little bit uncomfortable, especially in that fourth quarter. Jalen Kearse got a pick. Blaine got the pick. Made some secondary, played great at some points, hence the 2 picks and, game-deciding plays. But we also got burned by Devontae Smith way too much. 8 receptions, 113, and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown also went over the century mark. So, for future reference, let's play a little bit better. I know they're 2 great receivers, but we got to play a little bit better than that. However, we do escape, get the win at home, and get a much, much needed win to stay alive in that NFC East. The Steelers take out the Raiders 13-10. Not the prettiest game. Pickett to Pickens. That's an interesting name combo, but one the Steelers hope to hear a lot more from. But yeah, Pickett to Pickens wins the game under a minute left. They survived. Kenny was solid. Derek Carr threw 3 picks. So, great Raiders, bad Raiders. They flip on a dime. There's a two-face of the NFL, I think. I dare say. Two-face. At least Carr is the two-face quarterback. He's either going to be great or he's going to be absolutely pitiful. There is no in-between. He was pitiful in this game. The Packers take out the Dolphins on Sunday. Dolphins, what happened? First half, all you, dominant game. Aaron Rodgers was overthrowing receivers by a mile. It was bad. He was looking washed, okay? This was the first of the 3 washed kings. He was looking very, very washed. But then the Dolphins forgot how to play football in the second half, and Aaron Rodgers suddenly remembered that he is Aaron Rodgers and led the Packers down the field repeatedly, and the Dolphins had no answer. The offense fell apart. Tua fell apart. As much as I've sang his praises this year on this podcast, as much as I've said privately, he was awful in that second half. Awful. 3 interceptions cost the Dolphins the game. I can't even really put this on the defense. Even though the defense could have played better, in that fourth quarter, when they had opportunities, they held them to a couple Mason Crosby field goals. That's fine. I got Cheetah. I got Waddle playing the way he played in this game. 5 receptions, 143 and a touchdown. Get the ball to your playmakers. But Tua was bad. Just bad. He was bad in this game. I'm not going to milk it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He was bad in this game. If you want a scapegoat, number 1. He's the guy. Because he was not the guy in this game. Rodgers wasn't great, but played better in that second half. Did enough to get the win, and you know what? That's all that matters. Waddle and Cheetah had their moments. Both went over 100 yards on 3 catches. 4 catches for Tyreek, 5, like I said, for Waddle. But Tua had, 2 fumbles. Luckily, one of them was recovered, and 3 picks. Disaster class. An absolute disaster class for him. Cost him the game. Packers get the win on the road. The Rams demolished Russell Wilson is washed. He is washed. He is washed like a dish that just came out. He is washed like, clothes on a weekend. Washed. Washed. He's finished. Rams, a murder. 51-14. Baker Mayfield with another masterclass. 24 for 28, 230, and 2 touchdowns for Baker. Cam Akers also couldn't be stopped. 118 and 3 touchdowns. Higbee had 2 touchdowns and 94 yards, 9 receptions to go with that. Judy went over 100 yards, but like I said, it did not matter. It did not matter. The defense sucked. The quarterback sucked. The Broncos suck. That's all I need to say about that. The Buccaneers, to finish up the 3 washed kings. How about the third king, the GOAT? He had 2 picks. It was ugly. It was an ugly game for the GOAT. But you know what? That seems to be the only way the Buccaneers know how to win this year. And you know what? They stay alive in that NFC South. That's all that matters. 7-8, they take control. Trace McSorley, listen, if you're playing Trace McSorley, no disrespect to Trace McSorley, if you are playing Trace McSorley and you do not win the game, you need to reevaluate your team. Anyways, the Bucks get the win. Like I said, it was ugly. It was in overtime with 3 minutes to go left in overtime, so it took way too long even then, but they got the win, and you know what? That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Suckup made the 40-yarder. That is all that matters. All that matters. Bucks, take it. You're still in the playoff hunt, but boy oh boy, Brady didn't look great. Neither did your team. Now, with that said, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the roundup. Alright. I'm going to be very quick. I only have a couple of things to really talk about. Zach Edey. Alright, college basketball. Zach Edey is oh my goodness. He is, I don't know what happened over the offseason, but he heard all of that slander we were talking, and he has dialed it in, and he is now on his revenge arc, because Purdue is the #1 team in the country. And they have showed a little bit of stability as the #1 team in the country, which has not happened this year. It has been a wild, and I am predicting it's going to be a very, very wild college basketball season. And we said that last year. It's going to be worse this year, because it just seems like there's no team that is a dominant team. Purdue so far has been the closest we've got, and I can see them getting clipped. As great as Edey has been, as much as he looked like the National Player of the Year, every team has been so up and down, so hot and cold. It's going to get crazy. All right, into this new year, it's about to get very, very hectic as we get into conference play. So yeah, expect upsets, but Purdue's look great. Baseball, Trevor Bauer, one of the best pitchers before he got suspended, at least in the game. He's been reinstated. We'll see what happens there. Who picks him up? I'm sure he'll get picked up, regardless of the situation, because this is sports. As disgusting as that is to say, but Bauer reinstated. We'll see what happens there. Carlos Correa, there seems to be something going on. Because I do not know if he passed his physical for the Mets, which is another hamper, and we might have a replay of 2 weeks ago. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, seems like Correa has some type of health issue. Don't know what it is. We don't know. Hasn't been reported on. But yeah, a story to look forward to. What's wrong with Carlos Correa? What type of health issue is going on? Because seems to be having trouble with his physicals to finish these deals. We'll see what happens and see if he actually does sign with the Mets and gets all of that money. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, another episode from the 336, the last episode of 2022. It has been a great year. A lot of development with the podcast and with the channel. Much appreciated. Love you guys as always. I hope you have a great holidays. Hope you had a great Christmas. See you for the new year. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ocho, signing off.